Welcome back to WJUC 2018. We are here at the live stream field presented to you by Cut Camps. We have a game today for you that will be between the women's teams of Mexico and the People's Republic of China. I am Nico Birch, and I am joined here with Alin Azuzena, who has been a Cut Camp coach for the past little while. Alin, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, Cut Camp Toronto, their first international camp, occurred, a couple weeks ago now? That was a great first step into the international scene, and they just announced their Scotland camp for next year. I came on board last year at Chicago. It's been great fun, and they're looking to expand further.
You go.
We've got some Cut Camp clinics going on here at World Junior Ultimate Championships. It's been canceled for today, but they've been sponsoring this championship, and there is Lisa P. Goose and John Nethercutt helping out, and some other local Cut Camp coaches.
Yeah, those are some great players to learn from, so hopefully they will be able to have their clinics tomorrow, and any coach or player at this tournament can get advice or attend a clinic that they put on. Right now, weather-wise, the wind has definitely picked up. We luckily have no rain at this moment, but this wind is very strong. Right now, Mexico and People's Republic of China are winless at this tournament in Pool B, so both teams will be gunning hard for this win. Definitely want to put some nice scores on the board for the people at home. Speaking about the people at home, shout out to the families of Gabriela Diaz, Wilhelmina Graf, Renata Gonzalez, and Paulina Dominguez. All of them play for the same Frisbee team, Krakens Chapez San Cristobal, and I believe all their families are watching at home, so hi to all the family at home. Hope for all of these players to have a good game today. Just about to get started. It looks like Mexico will be starting out on defense. Wind really starting to gust right now. And looks like we have 11 Flores getting ready to pull. Both teams looking to hold their hands together as a sign of unity before the pull goes up. The pull makes it to half field. We have one Wang picking up the disc on the sideline. Mexico in the zone look. To 7 Ling, back to Wang. Looking to Chiang. Wang. To Connerly. To Wang. To Connerly. To Wu. Back to Connerly. To Wang. Connerly. Connerly faking hard, trying to get past this Mexican cup. Wang. Goes to Wu. Back to Connerly. Connerly finds Ling on the far sideline, and Ling goes deep to 72. Oh, and a great grab from Chiang. And that was a nice hold from the Chinese offense.
That was a great throw that just sat enough to come down and have her just come over around her shoulder and make that grab.
One thing that's interesting about this People's Republic of China team, they do have a lot of representatives actually from the U.S., most notably Grace Connerly. She plays with the NC Warhawks. They are a 2-time YCC championships in the U.S., which is their youth national championships. So it's great to have that kind of experience on the team. So China will be looking to pull upwind. Mexico looking for their first clean hold. Pull from Fu. Lands in bounds on the near sideline. China also electing to go for a zone defense. We have 4 Diaz picking up. Goes to 10. Graf. She's able to make that grab. That's a teammate connection. They both play for Kraken. Goes to 7. Champenois. Finds 20. Salazar. Goes back to Diaz. 7. Champenois. Finds Graf. Diaz. Diaz faking hard. Graf. Graf sends up the huck, but there is no receiver in the area, and China has their chance to break.
Both teams choosing zone, but you see China with that big trap on the sideline.
Speaking of zone, looks like Mexico will also be going zone, forcing China to have to work upwind. Wu to Zhang. And that's a drop from Wu. So Mexico will have it on the doorstep. China has transferred to person defense. Graf is picking up. Looking for a teammate Diaz. Goes around to Champenois. Champenois sends the IO flick, and that's a hold for Mexico to 20 Salazar. Ellen, how do you feel about that end zone from Mexico?
They looked quite disciplined. They had their stack nicely pushed off to the side and gave them a lot of space for that nice IO breakthrough.
Mexico very excited about that hold, cheering loud. We are on serve in this game, the second game of the day, 1-1. Flores looking ready to pull. Rolls unfortunately rolls backwards, so good yardage gain for China. Connerly picking up. Goes to Ling. Goes to Chiang. Back to Ling. Connerly. Chiang. Connerly. Chiang. Try and gain some space through that cup. Connerly on the sideline. Connerly goes with the flick huck. Has a receiver. But it might have just tailed out of bounds. So Mexico with their first chance to break. We have Gonzalez picking up. China is looking to play person defense. Mexico very excited about this break chance, cheering very loudly on the sideline. Goes to 18, Nateras. Swings to Flores. High throw. Connerly is able to get the D. Picks up. Faking hard. Goes to Ling. Back to Chiang. Chiang sends the backhand. I think her receiver just didn't notice that space and wasn't able to get there. So another break chance for Mexico. Flores picking up at the cone. This tapped in. Looking up line. Good spirit from 22 Chan, recognizing that she did foul number, I believe, 12 Gonzalez. To Flores. Disc sails high, and that's a great grab from Ling. Mexico, though, transitions to their zone look once more. Connerly surveying. Faking the hammer, but opts for Chiang. Goes to Ling. Chiang. Try and move that cup around. Ling. No swing options, really. Back to Chiang. Ling. Ling really faking that backhand hook. Chiang. Chiang actually opts for the backhand hook, looking for Connerly. But the wind takes it and is out of bounds.
I think the wind is really bringing those throws farther than they expect. And on the sideline, as they work it up, the sideline closer to the camera, the throws are sitting, and sometimes it's been working out, and sometimes it's popping up and sitting in the air a bit.
Flores brings it to Gonzalez. Flores doing a nice swim cut. Connerly with the bid. Flores again goes for that flick, and she is bailed out by her receiver 14, Lee. Gonzalez finds Rodriguez. Back to Flores. And that's a run-through grab by Chen. Goes to Ling. And great work by Gonzalez to get that D on Connerly. But Flores gives back the turn, throwing it too far for Lee. Ling goes. And a great grab from Grace Connerly for the hold. And what did you think about that whole point, Alin? How did you feel about the way Mexico was generating turns, and then, and what could they work on to actually be effective going upwind?
Well, it's tough. They're trying to really push it down on this open side, but with the wind, having their throws pop up hasn't been working out for them. This is a great game they're quite evenly matched, so it could really go either way. It'll be whichever team uses the wind to their advantage.
Definitely. As we mentioned, both teams are winless at this tournament so far, so it'd be great for any viewer at home and even the players themselves to really put up a strong game today, and whoever comes out with the win, I think that'll be the highlight of their tournament. We have the pull from Zhang, and it sits, but tails closer to the home sideline. We have Diaz picking up, goes straight to Graf, who finds Gomez. Back to Graf. Gomez. Graf. Mexican handler is really popping through that cup. And that's picked off by China, looking to break upwind. That is Wang. She goes to Wu, back to Wang. Yu making a nice grab. Goes to Wang. But the wind just catches it and it goes behind her. Graf picks up the disc. Looks like it is a backhand force from China. And she sends the huck. And a great box out from, I believe, number 9, Wu. There is no call. I think they're just worried about her cleat. Wang picking up, bringing it to the cone. She'll have Gomez marking her. China in a horizontal stack. Try goes for the IO shot to Chen, but again, disc goes to ground before anyone can make a play. Diaz walking to the disc. End zone from Mexico. Graf goes up line. But again, the disc is too far. So China, I believe, with their 3rd opportunity to break in this game, or in this point specifically. Wang picking up. Lots of direction coming from their sideline. That was a great touch from, I believe, Salazar on Mexico, but Wu's able to stay with it. Finds her handler, Wang. Wang goes back to Wu. Wu looking on it. Wu has hands. Goes back to Wang. It's just a give and go between these two. Again, pointing to Wang. Again, sends it up. And Wu is able to come down. Looking for her partner in crime, Wang. And Wang, of course, is looking for Wu. And that's a break upwind for the People's Republic of China. And Coach Chang Wei Liu should be very excited about that break from his team. Coach Liu is originally, I'm not sure if he's originally from China, but he spent his university years in Victoria, at the University of Victoria. Our communications director, Naomi Redmond, would like to do a huge shout out to Liu. She says hi. Probably some more things, but we don't have that much time to talk about on stream. Looks like we have the pretty standard O-line for China on D, looking to get their downwind break. And it looks like Mexico has decided to keep on most of the O-line from the previous point. Ellen, what would you say about the whole, with this wind playing with this whole break situation? Do you think this is the right move from China to put on a stronger line?
Yeah, with the teams still figuring out the wind and lots of turnovers on both sides, they have an opportunity to really nail it in with a close turnover close to their end zone.
Deep pull from Connerly. They're China in a zone formation, but Mexico working it through easily. Lee with the disc, now to Graf. Graf looking for poppers to come in. Opens it up, sends it deep. Oh! It looked like Chen almost had a disc, but it just came out of her hands. Fortunately, no Mexico receiver could get there. Connerly sends the backhand huck to a Ying, but again, sails too far. As we noted, it is a very strong gust going from right to left on your screen. It also comes towards this near sideline, so all the discs will be sailing that close far corner. Graf walking it up. Finds Rodriguez. Goes back to Graf. Lee bobbles but hangs on. Graf. I believe there is some sort of violation call. Possibly something like a fast count. Bringing it on 3. Graf. To Rodriguez. Back to Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Lee. Graf. Graf trying to direct traffic. Champenois to Flores. Champenois finds Graf with that IO break. Lee to Gonzalez. Back to Graf. Mexico staying very patient. Champenois. Graf. And that is a drop from Champenois. And China has good position to score this downwind break. Wu picked up. Finds Chiang. Back to Wu. Backhand around, and it is too far for Ying. Graf taking it to the cone. China still staying in their zone. Champenois tries to break through but can't. Nice grab from Gonzalez. Graf. Chen has position, has the D. But that is just a drop from Connerly. Looks about to be 15 yards for Mexico to punch in this upwind hold. We have Gonzalez picking up. Looks around to Graf. Back to Gonzalez. Connerly with the first attempt misses, but is able to get the layout D on Graf. Picks it up at the cone. And Connerly sends it deep. Unsure if she was really looking for a receiver or just trying to gain field position, have Mexico work it up another 60 yards or so. China going back to their zone look. Graf is picking up. China doing a good job presenting those crashes. Graf sends it deep to another receiver, 6 Rodriguez, to Gonzalez. Fire call from China going into person. Graf. Flores to Champenois. Champenois tries the backhand hook, but that is a great hand block from number 8, Ying. And she's off into the end zone. But Connerly calling for her to come in. Connerly goes to Ling. Chiang. Connerly. Connerly sends the huck. Lots of traffic there. But somehow Liu is able to come down, and that is the second break in a row for this People's Republic of China team. So Lynn, if you were the Mexico coach right now, what would you be telling your team?
So it seems like Mexico is really trying to find those options under, and that's not quite working out for them. They had some nice hucks that were received well. They worked it right up to that end zone and couldn't quite complete. So maybe they need to take some more shots, keep moving the disc laterally, and they'll find their shot.
You know, one thing that's been interesting about this Mexican offense is that they have been doing well on those deep looks. Graf has 2 completed looks, so maybe if her receivers just realize high stall count, Graf will put it up. They just need to be there for her. They have been getting them, and you know, if more people are there, then maybe there's a good chance they can do a sort of a give and go and it'll be hard for the Chinese defense to stop that. Looks like we have some people doubling, specifically Connerly doubling. Gets a nice pull. Rolls to just about half field. Unfortunately, these pulls keep rolling back and they keep losing yards. Zone look still from China. Graf to Diaz. Graf. Graf sends the huck. But that was a good box out from the defender, Connerly, to prevent her player from getting past her. Mexico going to a zone look. Connerly brings it up to the line. She finds, I believe that's 9 Wu. Goes back to Wu. Connerly. Wu. That is Zhu on the sideline. She goes for the high release, but Mexico is able to get a hand on that, and they are 3 yards out of the end zone. Graf picking up. And 19, Salazar cannot get full grasp on the disc. That was a great cut. She was able to get her defender on her hips and was able to have that really nice open cut, but too bad she can't get her hands on it. We swing to Wu. Goes to Connerly. Ling. To Wu. Wu sort of trapped on the sideline, but she's able to go through the middle to Connerly in tons of open space. Goes to 27, Zhang. Back to Connerly. She throws it too far for Wang to make a play. Mexico at the brick mark, hoping to get this downwind hold. Graf has picked up. No movement from the cutters, though. And Graf just sends it up. Again, the wind has pushed the disc down, making it hard for players to get a good play on the disc. Wu brings it to the corner. Mexico in a trap look. She finds Wang. Wang going for the OI flick. Chen comes down with it. And again, Zhu is able to pick up the errant throw from Zhang. Finds Wang. To Connerly. To Zhang. Goes to Wang. Goes to Wu. Making excellent grabs this whole game so far. Wang. Connerly. Almost a D from Salazar. Wang. Connerly. Wu. Zhang. Oh, that is not Zhang. That is, sorry, Hua. Back to Wu. Back to Connerly. Wang. Gets it to Zhang. Wang. Mexico still staying in their zone. The cup is definitely looking tired. Connerly. Fakes the around. Goes to Wang. Who goes to Hua. Back to Wang. Wang sends the flick huck. And Wu comes down with another high grab. And that is China's third break in a row.
Really stable handler movement with China. They were able to work it steadily up the field even when they lost some yards earlier in this point.
Also good heads up from those cutters. You know, there was a couple of errant throws, but cutters were aware. They saw the disc and were able to make the play and keep possession. There is a timeout call from the Mexico team. How do you feel about that call, Lynn?
It's a good call. They need to regroup, get their energy up, get their decision making a bit reset, a little mental reset to get back into this game. It should be, you know, fairly evenly matched. So we'll see what they come out of this timeout with.
Definitely. As you can see on the far sideline, most of the Mexico men's team is here. So maybe if they decide to really pump up the sideline, you know, Mexico in the last game, they were down, but they came back on a little bit of a run, and the game felt close throughout the entirety. So, you know, just a little bit of momentum is big for these Mexican squads. I think it'll really change both the mental aspect and maybe like just cause the players to want to really go hard for those big plays, lay out Ds, you know, huge skies. The timeout, I believe, has ended, but there are still, I believe, 70 seconds for the offense to set for Mexico, so they might be using all the time they have. The sun came out for a little bit, but decided to disappear behind the clouds again. This wind is making it quite cold, I would say. Definitely not the kind of expected August weather, I would say, in southern Ontario. So hopefully these teams are doing a good job of staying warm, staying active on the sideline, because we don't want any injuries happening this late in the tournament.
No, and they're both, I would say, fairly small squads, 17, 18 players on each roster.
Mm-hmm. Connerly with the pull. Using that wind to her advantage. Nice grab from Gonzalez. Goes to Flores. Back to Gonzalez. She finds Lee. Gonzalez. Flores on the sideline. Gonzalez. Flores. Gonzalez toes it in. Finds Chaparro. Back to Gonzalez. Flores to Lee. Flores. Gonzalez. Lee to Flores. Lee. Gonzalez. Tries to scuba her, but wind catches it and pushes it further away from Flores. So China has that at the brick mark. Mexico decides to go with a zone look, maybe to confuse the Chinese offense, as they have gone to a standard end zone. Chiang picks up to Connerly. To Chiang. Goes to Ling. Chiang. Chiang with the around backhand. Sorry, Connerly with the around backhand to Chiang, but it is too far. Flores picks up and brings it back in. Nice IO backhand to Lee. To Flores. Toe in from Gonzalez. Over the top. Lee has gets hands on it. Lee fakes the scuba. Gets the flick break to Flores. Back to Lee. Lee slices through. And that is picked up by Rodriguez. To Gonzalez. Back to Rodriguez. Foul on the mark. Uncontested, I believe. Flores. China now in person. Gonzalez. That's Nateras. Looks to Flores. Able to keep it in bounds. Gonzalez. And Rodriguez at the cone. And that is a hold from Mexico upwind.
Excellent job by the handlers to keep it moving. They've figured out their handler movement. Able to find some throws just past the mids. And that's what will really work for them as China shuts down those crashes.
It is 5-2 China. However, Mexico is very excited about that hole they just got, and are definitely looking to capitalize with a downwind break. This is the first time we're seeing, in the wild, we're seeing the Mexican D line. However, it looks very similar to the O line that was just out. Graf with the pull. Ling opts not to catch it. Goes to Connerly. Connerly goes around to Wang. Connerly. Ling. To Zhang. Ling. Unfortunately, that just goes in between Wu and Wang. Graf picks up. Gonzalez. Graf. Graf really making this cup move. Sends the flick huck. But Zheng is there to grab it. Oh, and a layout grab from Wang to save possession. You know, that was D'd by Rodriguez. We have Ling. There is a foul call on Wang. I'm sorry, that was Chen with the D for China. Wang maintains possession to Connerly. Connerly sends up the line to Hua. Connerly, and Connerly goes deep. She has Wu. And the pressure from Graf causes the turn.
Great heads up by both players to be aware of their space.
Yeah, if I was Connerly, I would definitely be taking that shot. I don't think Wu has missed a grab yet. Gonzalez. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf doing an excellent job of popping into that cup. There's another marking violation called by Graf. Unsure if it's fast count or maybe possibly a double team. Gonzalez to Graf, but Graf drops it. Connerly picks up. She opts for the lefty backhand. And while Wang gets hands on it, she's unable to come down. Leap goes for the high release flick. Graf gets good grab on that. Looking. Lee. Around to Flores. Flores sends the IO shot to Salazar. To Barrios. To Graf. To Lee. Graf. Gonzalez. High release to Lee. Graf. Graf on the sideline. Graf signaling for the huck, which she does. But again, Chen is there. However, she does set her pivot in her own end zone. Oh, appears there be some confusion about whether she can walk it up. However, she has set a pivot, so she cannot. Is coming in on 4. Looking for a reset. Finds that in Wang. Still in their end zone. Goes to Ling. Ling opts for the huck, but Graf gets the D. Gonzalez goes for the flick. And unfortunately, Rodriguez cannot come up with it. I think she has been a little bit too low or lost her footing. Wang takes it to the cone. Mexico still playing on a zone look. Ling. You can hear the Mexico men's sideline getting very rowdy. Ling goes for the hammer to Connerly. It is completed. And Connerly goes for the deep shot. She has a receiver in Hua, but Graf is there. Fortunately, Graf hits it so that it starts going back towards her end zone. Waiting for this roll to stop. Graf picks up. Flores. Gonzalez, nice low grab. Flores. And it just hits Gonzalez in the stomach and she drops it. Wang. High release to Ling. Nice eyes. Wang. Wang sends the huck up. But Graf is there. She's been an excellent deep defender this game. But unfortunately just throws it over Gonzalez. Connerly signaling to her team that she will be calling a timeout.
We're seeing both teams take these big shots to get yardage.
No, no, she's decided not to call the timeout, confusing us. Looking for Wang, still on the sideline. Wang elects to go for the flick huck. And Chen unfortunately can't get 2 hands on it, just bounces off. Graf picks up. Gonzalez. To Graf. Graf sends. Deep shot. She has 2 receivers. And Rodriguez makes the grab under pressure. She has an open receiver, but elects not to hit them. Gonzalez. To Lee. Lee sends that IO flick, and that's a great pressure run through D from Ling. There is no call. Connerly looks to Zhang. Goes to Wang. Wind has definitely picked up. And I believe that's a hand block from Lee. Great work on the mark. And Gonzalez will take it on the line.
Open side shot.
And Lee gets the bookends with the layout grab. And that's great work from Mexico to capitalize on this downwind break. Lee, I believe, is a pickup for them. She's actually from the U.S., I believe from the Bay Area. She said she's played and captained the mixed team from their Happy Cows. I believe they've done pretty well in past YCCs, having achieved, I think, second twice. As well, she also has played for California Roll Ultimate, which is a women's team from Berkeley. So it's great to have that kind of player on your team. Definitely a gamer, has been in these high pressure situations before. I believe it is a timeout for China. As we mentioned, these teams are both quite small, and that point was very long, and players have already been double shifting, triple shifting even. So it's good maybe just to take a breath, relax, and get out a really strong O-line for a hold.
Maybe that's why we're seeing the teams take those bigger shots instead of working it up the field. It can be quite tiring to do that, turn it over, and have to play defense back.
Definitely. As we've talked about the wind so much, one strategy that's very common in windy situations is called huck and pin, which is hucking it deep. And if you don't come down with it, you immediately set your zone and hope for a quick turn, as Mexico did just there. So I believe the women's division will be wrapping up pool play today. If not, they will definitely be wrapping up pool play tomorrow. What will happen is the top 3 of each team will be going into a power pool, and then the top 4 of that power pool will be playing in semis. The other teams, I believe, will just be playing into placement brackets. So while neither of these teams are in sort of bracket contention, a win here will definitely put them in a good spot later and could get them a higher seed than they originally came in. Mexican sideline very excited, especially after being down, I believe 5-1 at one point. So now it is 5-3. China looking to hold offensively downwind. Flores with the pull. Carly is sprinting deep. Ling, Chiang, Connerly, Chiang, Ling, Chiang, Ling, to Chen. Goes to ground to confirm that hold. Ling to Chiang. Unsure what the call is, but play resumes. Ling, and Ling sends the huck. She has Connerly, but again comes in too fast and goes out of bounds. Lynn, how do you feel about these kind of huck shots to that corner? As we mentioned, they all seem to be going too far and coming in very fast.
Well, it's interesting with Mexico's cinch zone, forcing the cup, pushing the throws laterally. So they'll have to keep swinging, and they almost had it, just needed another continue cutter.
That's a great grab from, I believe, Popova. Back to Gonzalez. Flores. Looking for some reset Finds Gonzalez up line. Gonzalez goes behind to Flores. There is a pick call from Connerly. And the pick happens when the offense moves in such a way that your defender cannot follow. Gonzalez will get it back. Gonzalez sends it up. Great grab from Flores. Flores goes for the huck. And Rodriguez is able to get there.
That was a nice blade throw. Really sliced through the wind to get to its receiver.
And that is another break for this Mexican D-line. And they will now have the wind with them.
What a roll. Now it's 5-4, bringing the game nice and close. Still anyone's game.
Definitely. We are still very early on in the game. Currently, we are at 5-4 for China. And we are just under the halfway point in this game in terms of a time cap. Remember, we have 100 minutes on the board as well, so when that time runs out, we will play to the highest score +1, and whoever attains that score first will win the game. Flores with looking to pull. Gets it deep. Connerly stops that roll. Goes to Wang. Connerly. Wang. Wind is gusting. And it looked like Gao had her hands on it, but she just drops it. Graf to Gonzalez. Nice effort from Lee, but this still goes to ground, and Wu picks up. Wang, Wu, Wang. Connerly. Looking for options. Connerly sends it deep. She has Wu. Again, Wu has hands on it but can't come down. Graf picks up. Graf has a receiver going deep, but she elects not to throw the huck. So it goes for Rodriguez. Gonzalez. Graf. Graf goes for the huck. She has 3 receivers, but it is Connerly with the grab. Connerly brings it up to the end zone line. Connerly goes for Wu again, just slips out of her hands. Graf picks up. Mexico looking to bring this game, I believe, to on serve. Finds Rodriguez. Graf. To Gonzalez. Graf gets her hands. Not in, though. Gonzalez. Graf. Lee. And Graf. And that is another break for Mexico.
Great patience by Graf, the handler. Going every other. Smart decisions. Really holstering.
Definitely. I think China might need to look at their zone and maybe do a bit of a different look, maybe putting something we call a pest on Graf, meaning that while everyone is in zone, there is one person specifically marking up on Graf. She is getting every other pass. She is running this Mexican offense right now.
She is all over the place, playing deep, ripping down those discs, and being their main handler on offense.
With the wind picking up, it is also getting chillier. I swear I am back to my university days, standing out in the very cold, wet weather, thinking I really would like to be inside. But this game has been awesome so far, very close. I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes to Universe Point. I don't think either of these teams would like it to go to Universe Point, but they're playing very hard, very gritty, definitely making some plays here. Mexico with the pull, goes really high, rolls, and as I mentioned before, it is very downwind, so it actually starts rolling back into their own zone. Connerly is up, picks up, looks nice grab from Ling. I believe Mexico might be in person or just a very poachy person. She finds Liu. Liu has Chiang. Chiang has Wu. Wu all alone. And that disc just goes to ground. So Mexico looking to break for the third time in a row. Salazar. To Diaz. To Champenois. Champenois sends the huck, but Connerly gets there first. Finds Chiang all alone. Chiang sends the huck, but again, she's very close to the end zone, and the disc just sails. Salazar walking up. Finds Diaz. To Champenois, is able to run that down. But throws behind Salazar, and China has a very close, has a very good field position. She finds Connerly for the easy hold. Looks like there's some confusion about whether it is a goal. From my vantage point, it did appear to be a goal. Just only touched the ground after Connerly had full possession of it. It is a goal. Everyone is signaling goal. People are saying that it looks like a pick call, but there is no pick call. It is just a goal. So that was the assist from Chiang. She is actually a handler from Syracuse University. That's a university in upstate New York. We have also representation from Princeton, Karen Ying, number 8, as well as 22 Chen will be playing for Wellesley College in Massachusetts in the fall. We also have a player who goes to my alma mater, number 16, Shuye Ying Fu. She played for Tarantula, otherwise known as the University of Toronto Ultimate Team. So Mexico looking to hold. We are at 6-5. It is on serve. I'm unsure if if they will be having a time cap. We are, I believe, just over halfway done with this game, so we might be playing to a different score instead of 8, which is our usual point cap half. Connerly with the upwind pull. Lands about 10 yards past half. Lee picks up. Goes to Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Gonzalez. Is able to find Diaz. Gets around to Gonzalez again. To Lee. Graf with the saving grab. Lee. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Lee. Graf. Diaz. Graf. And that's the first clean O that we've seen in a while from either team.
We see that Cup really push that the disc to the far sideline, hoping for a trap, but wasn't able to contain that swing that opened up the field and brought them for the point.
Definitely, I think, it's taken a while, but I do think Mexico has sort of figured out this zone China has put on. So maybe now, I don't know if China has another look, but maybe they just have to go straight person, just confuse Mexico again. Mexican women's team getting very hyped up, hamming it up for our camera a little bit. As I said, there are a few people whose families are definitely watching at home. Those are number 4, Diaz, number 10, Graf, number 12, Gonzalez, and number 22, Dominguez. They all play for Kraken Chapez of San Cristobal. So hi to everyone watching from Mexico who is related or at all who know these players. Another wave from Rodriguez. I said it is a shame that there's not some videographers for them here because they are definitely excited to be on camera. And again, the pull just rolls backwards, and it is about 10 yards outside the Mexican end zone. So hopefully China can work it up very quickly. Ling taking it from the sideline. She will have Salazar marking. Looking for Connerly. Believe there's a marking violation call. This is brought back in.
Oh.
Connerly bobbles, but is able to grab it. She is not in, though, on the line. And she finds Wang.
That unfortunate short pull really gave them an easy opportunity to score. Both teams have been doing fairly well with upwind pulls, getting it to at least half, giving them some space to work with.
Yeah, one thing Mexico could think about doing instead is pulling it specifically out of bounds, maybe getting a trap look on, and preventing those easy scores. Hard to say what is going on. Maybe this is half. As I mentioned, it could be a point half. Unclear as of right now.
I think some of the volunteers were talking about a timed half.
Time. I think we are going with it's a timed half, so we will bring back the action in a few minutes. Welcome back. We are on the live stream field brought to you by Cut Camps. I'm Nico Birch. I'm here with Alin Azusena, and we are showcasing the second half of this women's matchup between the People's Republic of China and Mexico. Alin, how do you feel about that first half of Ultimate?
Mexico really brought it back. They were down 5-1, and now it's 7-6. Really tight game. Still, either team could take it. The wind has been quite tricky, blustering, and now the sun's come out, so it'll be a different second half for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You know, before we were battling with rain, obviously this wind has been an issue for both teams, but now maybe even the sun will come into play as it could get into the players' eyes and make it hard for those high grabs that they've been having to make, especially in this wind. We are having China, I believe, starting out on D as this game is on serve. However, they are not sure where the game disc is. Game advisor is asking for the game disc from the volunteers.
As we mentioned earlier, both teams are winless, so having a tight game, either team can take it. They came out of half quite pumped up, so we'll see who starts off strong.
That was a good pass from the volunteer. I think the game advisor needs to work on his IO backhands. They are sailing in that corner that we've been talking about this entire game. Connerly with the pull. It lands out of bounds, but it has been probably the deepest pull we've seen upwind this entire game from both teams. Graf takes it to the sideline. Oh, no, she has elected to go to the brick mark, I believe. As mentioned in WFDF, you either choose to take it from the sideline or from the brick mark. So it's sort of a compromise. Do you prefer having it in the center or prefer having a higher field position? Graf on the sideline. Gomez trying to pop through but doesn't. Graf goes deep, but Connerly's there. Goes to Ling. Mexico already in the zone look. Connerly. Upfield to Hua. Connerly. Tries to go for the low flick around, but Ling cannot make the play. So Mexico in good field position to get this hold. Graf picks up, no mark. Looking for a reset. Finds Gonzalez, still not in. Looks like a D from Wu, but Graf calls the foul. She will take it to the line. Wang on the mark. And that's a hold from Salazar.
Good choice by Graf to send it while trapped on that sideline. Quick turnover led them to score it in, punch it in right close to the end zone.
Definitely. As we mentioned, the wind is coming from both right to left on your screen as well as from the far side of the field to the near side of the field. So any throw coming from what we would call the high side, which will be the far sideline, to this closer sideline will either go really far or it will be pushed down, which is what happened on that around throw from Connerly.
Also a good choice to take it from that brick mark rather than 5 yards on the sideline. We had the whole field to work with instead of trying to force it.
And the pull from Mexico rolls out of bounds, which means that it will be taken from the sideline this time. No option. Connerly grabbing it. Mexico in the zone. Looks to Ling, who pops in. Ling slices through to Chiang, who goes to Wang. Chiang. Connerly. Ling. Connerly. Chiang. Wang. Chiang. Connerly gets it through to Ying. Chiang. Wang. That was to Connerly, but Ling is able to pick it up. Connerly now. Chiang to Wang. She finds Ling. That's another quick hold from China.
Nice give and goes and quick dishes that keep the disc in solid possession by China.
It is 8-7 for China on serve. We have just over 25 minutes left in this game, so it might still go to point cap, which is at 15, but more than likely it will be played to the highest after the hard cap time goes off, and to which we add 1 point, and that it will be played to that point total then. Connerly with the pull. Lands just past half. Lee picks up, goes to Graf. Lee. Graf. Gonzalez. Those three always in the backfield, really moving this cup around. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf goes over the top. Lee makes the grab. There is a pick call. In WFDF, the rule is that it generally goes back. However, if both parties agree that there is no effect on the play, it will stay as a turnover. Believe it might be a retracted call then. The game advisor is signaling it. So that's good spirit from Mexico. Ling picks up. To Connerly. Ling. Wu. Sorry, that is Wang. And she's going to Chen. Ling. Wang. Sends it over to Connerly. Unable to reel it in. So Mexico looking for their 8th point of the game. Finds Flores. Gonzalez is able to make that second effort. And again, it just goes down to the ground before Lee can make a play on the disc. We have Ling picking up. And Shia opts for it to go deep. And just off the hands of Zhu. Finds Gonzalez. Graf. Gonzalez. To Graf. Nice grab. And that's Gonzalez.
Punching it up the line.
As we've mentioned, those two have play on Kraken Chapez, so we can definitely see that connection coming into play in that point especially. We have a very similar line for China and Mexico, staying on the line for both O and D. As we've mentioned, they are both winless at this tournament so far, so they are looking for their first win. So I'm not surprised that both teams are running tight rotations, as I think either team just really wants to come out with a win this entire tournament. Flores with the pull. Rolls. And luckily it does not roll backwards, as many other pulls have done this game. Connerly. Ling. Connerly. And Ling fumbles a disc and it goes to ground. So Mexico with a chance to break and take the lead for the first time this game. Flores picks up. Looking to reset. And that is a layout D from Connerly. Wang. And again, too high for Ling, and that's another turnover from this Chinese offense. Backhand call from China. Lee picks up. Goes around to Gonzalez. To Lee. And it is too hard for Flores. Too far. Connerly picks up. Mexico still in the zone look. To Ling. To Chiang. To Chen. Back to Chiang. Chen. Nice movement from them. Chiang going down to the ground to grab that. Goes to Ling. Connerly in tons of space. She sends it high. But Rodriguez is there, and there is no play for Wang to make.
It's interesting we see the handlers set up real close to the disc for both teams, making it tough to get a reset off.
Yeah, I think Connerly was just being a little impatient there. She did have an open reset, but I think just wanted to punch it in. And that throw just blades, and again it rolls backwards, so good field position for China there. They are still Mexico is still staying in zone. Chiang picks up, goes to Ling. Chiang. Ling. Chen. Ling. Chiang. Looking for Ying, good idea. I just don't think Ying was expecting that throw. Gonzalez walks it up, Connerly on the mark. She sends it deep, but Chiang is able to get a run through D. Finds Connerly. Ling. Mexico again still in this zone look. Wang. Chiang. Ling. Wang. And that's Ling. Ling's been doing a great job of finding those holes in Mexico's cup. So we are at 9-8. No breaks this half so far, but there is still some time for someone to make a huge play. We saw Connerly get a layout D. Maybe she'll get another one this next point.
Lots of opportunities on both sides, so.
China calling the timeout, maybe wanting to give some of those players who played that point a rest, and so they can put on a very strong D line. As we see, the wind is picking up. Our signs are flying everywhere, so sorry to our sponsors. Speaking of sponsors, we'll talk about that now. As you mentioned before, this live stream is brought to you by Cut Camps, who are here throughout the whole week providing clinics to both players and coaches. We also have VC Apparel, Universe Point Cleats Discraft Discs, as well as WFDF. They're not really a sponsor. They are the ones who organize this whole event. But thank you. Oh, last one is Greatest Ultimate Bags. I've heard they sold out extremely quickly on the first couple of days, probably because no one expected this much rain and everyone needed a waterproof bag. But I've heard everyone's very happy with their purchase. I know a lot of my friends have that bag, so. Again, the sun has disappeared. It's starting to feel very chilly up here in the booth. I know our cameraman, Justin, is wishing he brought some longer pants. Hopefully, none of the players are noticing it too much. I think they're just very into this game, and staying mentally in it maybe means you don't feel the cold as much.
Yeah, both teams are decked out in their regular short sleeves and shorts, where I just came back from the other field and everyone was wearing rain jackets and pants.
Yeah, I will say I love these Mexican tights and long sleeves. Definitely looking very stylish, as well as providing an extra layer of warmth. Also prevents turf burn, so maybe more of them will be willing to bid. We have Champenois with the disc. Graf. Aggressive cup from China. Champenois. Looks like there's a violation, but nothing has happened. To Graf. To Lee. Graf. Champenois. Gonzalez. Graf. Is able to slice it through to Rodriguez. Lee. And that's a hand block from Wu. Very emphatic. Nice work. She is one of the taller players on this Chinese team, so definitely great to have her in the cup. Ling looking to pick up. Connerly. Ling. Again, this wind is starting to gust more. Connerly. Ling. Trapped on that sideline, looking to get it off. Gets the around to Wang. She fires to Hua. Wang. Ling. Wang. Connerly to Chen. From the ground, sends it back to Connerly. Connerly faking aggressively to Wang. Ling. Wang. Connerly. Wang. She sends it high. I believe there's a foul call from Wu, though. It is unclear what the signs they are doing. I believe it is an uncontested foul, so Wu will retain possession. Wu has it in the center, goes to Ling. Wang. Ling. China getting pushed back into their end zone again. Connerly on the sideline. Faking the hug, but goes to Wang, to Ling, to Wu. Ling. Wang. To Ling, to Connerly, to Chen. Looking for a reset. Has Ling. Connerly. Ling to Wang to Wu to Wang. Ling, Wang, Ling, Chen, Connerly, Ling, Wang, Wu. And that is a drop, unfortunately, for China.
It was a good choice. That's what they were hoping for. Some handler movement and pop it to a cutter coming on the sideline.
Graf looking for a reset. She has Champenois. Gonzalez. Lee. Gonzalez. Nice grab from Salazar with the pressure defense. Gonzalez. Champenois. Graf. Lee. Champenois. Lee. And that disc just turfs.
Pretty good handler movement on both sides. They've done well in these very windy conditions.
Connerly picks up, unsure if there's a call. Ling, Connerly to Chen, looking for a reset. Connerly. Ling, and Ling sends it up. And it just sails past everyone's hands. Graf picks up to Champenois. And it slips through Rodriguez's hands as well. So China again, I'm not sure if this is their 5th chance for this break. It is very hard. I'm sure everyone at home can hear the wind. It is so loud right now. Oh, and just as I said that, it dies a little bit. Well then.
We've got some rain coming back down as well.
Wang. Ling. Connerly, nice around. Finds Hua. To Wang. Ling. And that is a great run through D from Rodriguez. Lee to Gonzalez. Graf. Looks like they're in a person.
No.
Graf sends up the flick huck. And Connerly's there. Nice bid attempt from Rodriguez. I think they're just checking to see if each other is okay. Unclear if she might be calling injury. I think it's fine. Connerly will be bringing it to the line. Ling. Ling sends up the huck again, but it turns in the air and blades. Now they must stop the roll. Nice work by Hua. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Champenois. Graf. And Ling comes through with the run through D. This is starting to become one of the longer points in this game. Does not help the fact that the wind has picked up considerably. Connerly pops through, is able to hold on. Goes to Ling. Goes around to Wang. Goes to Ling. Gets it around to Wang. Hua. Wu. Wang. Looks like it's now a rabbit with a 3-person wall for Mexico. Wang. Ling. Connerly. Wu pointing for the deep shot. Ling. Connerly.
Nope.
Believe there might be a foul call. Does look like there was some contact. It's always difficult, I find, when you're marking to get so close to a high stall count, and then you put your hand just where the thrower is going to go, and then you have to realize it's a foul and uncontest it. Ling. And that disc hits the ground, and Mexico in prime position to get this downwind hold. Graf picks up. Champenois. And she squeezes it through to Gonzalez.
Really patient on both sides. I think it was China that was swinging that disc for how many throws?
So we just have 5 minutes left before the cap goes off. So most likely we will be playing a game to 11. It'll be interesting to see what happens, you know. It is on serve, so China will be the ones receiving on offense right now. And if everything goes to serve, most likely China will be winning this game, as they will be receiving it possibly twice on going downwind. But the Mexican D-line has gone in turns. They have been able to capitalize down upwind, so you know, this is the moment right now. We need to see a big play from any other players to get that D and hopefully punch it in and force China to have to work it upwind.
Yep, both teams relying heavily on their main handlers to work it up. So we'll need to see the rest of the team fill in those holes.
Flores with the pull, and it rolls out of bounds just at the halfway mark. Ling. Chiang. Ling. Chiang. She sends it, but I think the disc never came back in bounds.
It's a tough spot to get stuck on. Wasn't quite able to step around the mark and find the swing.
We have Flores bringing it to the sideline. Finds Gonzalez up the line. Tries to go back to Flores, but the disc turns. Connerly making sure that disc stays on the ground, doesn't roll back anymore. Chiang. Layout grab from Connerly to save possession. But it's too high for Chiang. Another opportunity for Mexico. Lee sends the IO flick to Flores, who toes it in. Flores sends up the bladey throw. Rodriguez tries to bid for it. Connerly yelling for the deep shot. You know, they do have the win with them. Ling making a nice high grab. Jiang to Chen, or no, I believe that's Zhang to Jiang again. Wind gusting. Holds that just high enough for Ling to still make a grab. Jiang, Ling to Wu. Chen. China looking very patient. Finds Wu. Back to Chen. Blaze out to save possession. Chen, Ling to Chen, hitting
Great
the ground
find.
once more. Wu makes a high grab. Ling, Jiang. And it slips out of Zhang's hands. That was looking good from China. But just that, like, they are, you know, those throws, they need to put a little bit more spin on it. They need to put some height on it, make it easy for the receivers. Lee. Flores. Gonzalez is unable to grab it. Wu picks up. Trying for Ling, but Chiang's able to make the grab. I believe there might be a foul call. There is a foul call.
And there is another foul call.
I believe there are actually maybe 2 foul calls, one on Chiang as well as one on Ling.
That wind really took that throw. Sometimes the high release have been working, sitting and floating a bit with the wind, but other times that one just flipped right over.
It's definitely hard, especially on those backward passes. As we mentioned, the wind is going from right to left on your screen. So by going backwards, if you don't put enough spin on it, it will actually start going forwards, which is not the way you need the disc to move. Appears to be a long discussion. Game advisor has been brought in. I don't believe there's much of a language barrier between the two. It looks like it is uncontested. Chiang retains possession. Finds Ling. Back to Ling. To Connerly. And Connerly will send the huck.
Did that come in?
I believe
No.
Mexico is calling it pretty much out of bounds at the point of where she threw it. Gonzalez with the disc. Believe there is a foul call. It's a little hard, especially with the disc floating up so much, you know, about who could have sometimes the best play on it. Because in my opinion, it looked like Flores with her defender Chan had a better play on it compared to, I believe, Urandi. Chang tries to go for the huck, but it is too low. Flores picks up. And another turnover from the Mexican offense. Ling. To Chiang. To Ling. To Zhang. To Ling. Nice attempt from Salazar. I'm sorry, that is Barrios. Ling, and Ling goes deep. And once more, the disc is still being pushed towards our booth. You know, the wind, as we mentioned, is going from right to left, but as well as from far side to near sideline. So they have to put a more drastic edge on this disc in order to stay in bounds.
For sure, and that was an outside-in throw. Will catch that wind. Needs a bit of more of a inside-out look.
Great grab from Flores. Ying making sure she is okay. Sends it. Tries to get it to Gonzalez. And
they're just confirming where it comes into the field.
And then will be brought at the point of the throw. Or maybe not, just I believe it's a compromise and has gone halfway. Chiang. Ling. And that is a hand block from Barrios, and she is excited about that. Lee picks up. To Flores, but again bobbles and cannot make the play. Two receivers, Chiang. Chiang elects not to throw the huck. Looking for a reset, she goes to Ling. Hangs in the air. Ling tries to make the backwards grab. She's calling a foul though.
Both teams are getting really energetic. We're at 9s. Game is close to over. Time is running out.
I believe this game will be played to 11, as if either team scores, it still goes, you still have to add 1. Long discussion on the field. A big difference between those who are more familiar with USAU rules as opposed to WFDF rules is that in WFDF, at any point during your play, if someone makes contact with you before the disc, after the disc, that can be considered a foul, as opposed to USAU. It has to be directly involved with the actual play, making the play on the disc. It'll be contested and sent back to Chiang. Disc is brought back in. To Ling. And Ling sends the huck.
Oh. Nice box out by 12, taking that space.
Yeah, I also think Ying got a number 8 Ying just lost sight of the disc a little bit. I think if she had a better read on it, she would have been able to position herself a bit better. Connerly gets a hand to that disc though, and they will have it at the cone. You know, Connerly bringing that gamer attitude that a lot of us talk about. She does play for the NC Warhawks, who are the current YCC champions in the women's division. So it's great to have a player who knows when to turn it on. Mexico staying in the zone look, having a 3-person cup around the disc. Ling taps it in. Oh! And Connerly just takes a step into the cup, calls the foul though on Barrios. Hard to see. Ling kind of blocked the view a little bit, but I do think there was a lot of contact when Connerly made the catch. It looks like it will be contested. Again, players must take their spot as when the play happened. Coming in on 6. And Ling gets the around shot. Wu bids, but unfortunately she can't come up with the grab. Flores sends the high huck. And Wu gets a hand to it and is able to tip it down. Ling picks up. Chiang. Wu. to Chiang. Ling. And Ling just takes her eyes off the disc and it fumbles it.
This is a nice chance for Mexico, working upwind, having a hard time coming from the end zone, but now they can take it from half field.
Lee picks up, gets to Flores. Flores sends it to Barrios. Barrios tries to go for the greatest, but I believe she was already out of bounds as she attempted that. Connerly has picked up. Connerly sends the huck. Flores grabs it to make sure that no outplay by Chen can happen. Timeout called. I believe that when Mexico called the timeout, China had already gone a decent stall count on there, so it will be coming in at around 5, maybe 6. It's been a long point, Lynn.
It has. So, Nico, what do game advisors do? Can they make any calls if asked?
No, so game advisors are inactive callers. They do make certain calls that you would notice. So, like, for instance, if you're offside, they will make the call you're offside. However, it's only taken into consideration if the other team recognizes them making the offside call and elects to go with it. Mm-hmm. You can always ask for advice from the game advisors or their opinion on the play. You can also ask for any rules clarifications, which is very handy, as there are some players who come from a USA or Canadian ultimate background where we do play with a different set. Not very different, but still different enough. It's hard to tell if you're correct on the ruling. They are generally very useful, and I do think many teams have enjoyed having game advisors at their fields. Mexico coming out with a vertical stack. Whenever a timeout happens, offense will get 60 seconds to set, and then defense will follow with another 60 seconds. It is coming in on 6, so a high stall count.
I wouldn't be surprised for a first huck look.
Definitely. Flores winds up, sends the huck, but it was never in bounds. There is a foul call, though.
It's a very hard spot to throw from with the wind coming right out there. Mm-hmm. It'll push the throw off out of the field.
I'm not sure what the conversation is happening. It is uncontested. You know, I think that's sometimes just a bit of the inexperience. A lot of times when we're older, we realize that the higher the stall count, the more we should back off the mark so they can't draw that easy foul. You know, there's a violation call. Good hand signals. Flores looking to reset. Gets it to Gonzalez, who's able to keep her toes in.
Looks like they're having a discussion, but not many players are using the hand signals.
Yeah. I believe Chen is calling Gonzalez out. In Ultimate, as compared to a lot of other sports, the line is out of bounds. So if you are on the line, you are out. Which can be confusing, especially from players who come from different sports grounds, such as soccer or American football, where the line is considered in. It appears, I think, to be contested, so it will go back to Flores. I think they are now discussing the stall count. It will be coming in at 5. Again, Flores goes with a high huck, and Barrios is very glad she has grabbed that disc. to Gonzalez. Whole Mexican sideline is very pumped about that play.
And there's a pick. But
There is a pick call. And again, Barrios has really come out in this second half, making plays, saving possession. Rodriguez giving her a huge hug. Unclear if they were affected by the pick call. So it might stay with Barrios, but wouldn't be surprised if it does go back to Gonzalez.
the pick was called before the throw.
Yeah.
So I believe in WFDF it goes back.
And it does go back to Gonzalez, but good job on Barrios for allowing, for saving possession on that. This tap back in. Looks to Lee. To Gonzalez. To Rodriguez. Rodriguez was very alone, not surprised that there is a pick call. But it apparently is not on Rodriguez. So, oh, never mind. There is Ling. And Flores has the disc. Looking to punch it in.
Oh, deflection, and there was an attempt at a second grab.
Yeah, that was just out the hands of, I believe, Popova. And again, Barrios almost had the second grab. She has been coming out this second half, trying to keep the Mexican offense alive. Ling with the disc.
Looks like it was deflected off her face.
Yeah, it's always a hard one. I'm not sure if Ling will be calling the foul. It's always hard, I find, when you do, unfortunately, can throw into someone's face and you're like, but I didn't really want to release it there. It's always very hard.
It might have been contact with a hand.
Yeah. Popova looks okay. Coach making sure she's okay. I think she's fine. But it's unclear if the disc will be a turn. Nope, never mind. They are calling an injury. And it looks like they will be putting on Graf, who is definitely needed on this D-line. I think, you know, she gets every other pass when it comes to their offense. So it'd be good to have someone like her on. I believe it is going to be a foul contest.
Looks like she was just making sure everyone was ready. Tap the disc in.
Ling sends it deep. Wang tips it. And Zhang almost has the play. But it is again a turnover. Gonzalez picking up. Tries to shoot the IO to Flores, but Chen is able to grab it. Wang to Connerly. Back to Wang. Connerly. To Ling. Connerly. Ling. Connerly. And just out of the hands of Ling. Graf picks up. Nice high grab from Rodriguez. Gonzalez. Looking for an option.
Nice tip.
She has Graf. And another D from Chen.
Lots of traffic on that on those 2 cuts, weren't able to have the space to make the grab.
Long point. Connolly goes for the huck. Believe Connolly is probably very well versed in the strategy of huck and pin, as she is calling trap. This game has almost been going on for 2 hours. I'm unaware of what the time cap is for this game. It could be happening very soon, so game could end at this point. Graf with the disc. She sends the huck. Barrios tries to get the grab, but then Rodriguez comes down with it. Sends it high to Gonzalez. Lee. Flores. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Gonzalez. Graf gets the high grab. Mexico getting closer and closer to punching this upwind break. Gonzalez. Trying to go for the high release. Gets it to Graf. Graf calls a foul. Flores. Graf. Wu with the bid. Fakes the hammer. Sends it to Lee. It's floating. Lee has time though. Gonzalez. To Graf. Gonzalez. Graf. Graf running out of options. Elects to go for the deep shot just over her player's head.
Very tough shot. They've been trapped on that sideline. Not a lot of options. They did a great job working it through, but couldn't quite keep it.
Connolly calls the timeout. You can see the sideline racing to grab some water bottles for their team. It's been a very long point. We are at nines. It is on serve. Mexico looking to take their very first lead of the game. However, they will need to cause the turn on China.
Lots of great handler movement, so it's nice to see both programs building up their young players at the U20s who will no doubt continue to develop their career.
Yes, this is China's first under 20 championship. They were at U24s in Perth, so it's very exciting to see them build up their youth ultimate program. As well, I believe this is Mexico's maybe their second or third time here, so it's also good to see them building up a good reputation. China comes out with, I believe, will be a zone offense sort of look, as they have 4 handlers back and 3 cutters, really stretching the field wide. Although I would say that having a deep option would be necessary, especially in this wind. They are going downwind. Just tap back in, Connerly. And Connerly goes with the huck. And Chen makes the grab. She has Wu. Back to Chen. She has Ling. Chiang. Ling. Chiang ducking, thinking Ling will throw the huck.
Connolly going for the deep.
And Ling sends it deep. But great positioning from Gonzalez. And that might have been China's best deep shot so far. They did have a receiver. It was coming a little fast, but I think that's what we need at this point. Gonzalez.
And a pick.
There is a call on the field. I'm unsure what the call is because it looks like the players are signaling injury in some way. Doesn't really make sense. Maybe it's a pick call.
I think they were calling a pick. With the 2 fists up?
Yeah.
Versus 2 hands on the head.
Disc is back in. And that disc just, again, turns over in the wind, and China's in good position. They are, Mexico still, however, is putting on the zone. It's been working so far. Wang sends it up, but Gonzalez gets the read. She establishes her pivot in her own end zone, though. Very scary. Graf with the disc, and Graf sends the huck, but Connerly is able to get the D.
What a challenge with this downwind advantage. The huck's just not going Mexico's way.
Ling. Yeah, I will say whoever called for the downwind side on the flip was very smart. And that is a great D from Rodriguez. No call from Ling. A little bit confusion about whether there is a call. Graf has a disc. I think there might be now a pick call, though. You can see our sidelines getting quite busy. We will be streaming another game. It will be between France and Colombia men's. Flores. And that is a hand block from Wu again, using her length. Wu, 1 yard out of the end zone. Oh, I believe there is an injury call. Looks like it is Arandi. She might have just twisted her ankle. Hard to tell. And she'll be escorted off. We have 20 Salazar subbing on, as well as Hua subbing on for Zheng.
Way to go for these two teams grinding out this long point.
Wang, or Wu to Chiang, to Ling. Looking to slice it through for this hold. Chiang finds Wu, she gets the layout grab, and that is a goal. And we are at 10-9 China. As I mentioned, these games are capped 100 minutes, but then we add a point to the highest score, which would happen now, so that we would be playing till 11. It is unclear, though, if there is another cap that happens. You know, definitely these men's teams are getting antsy. They would love to play their game. As this game has gone on pretty over, we are 27 minutes over since the cap has gone off. Unsure what's happening in terms of whether or not we will still be how well we'll be playing to, but it looks like we'll be playing one more point, definitely.
So Mexico has a chance to tie it up.
So Lynn, we just had a very long point between the Chinese O-line, which was pretty much a power line, as well as the Mexican D line, which was also had some of their main handlers and starters. So what exactly as a coach, what are you thinking? Who do you put on? How do you manage your team at this point?
Well, everyone looks like they have energy after those quite long points and, as we mentioned, short rosters. Both teams have been doing well, working it up patiently with this challenging upwind. I would put my power line on in this situation.
Unfortunately, the wind is unrelentless in their gusts. China lucky to get a good roll, actually brings it to the sideline. Perfect opportunity for them to trap, which they are. Lee picks up, looks to Graf, and that just goes to the ground, and now China has a great opportunity to punch its in and finish off the game. Wang picking up the disc. Mexico staying in a zone look. Connerly. Lefty to Wang, but unfortunately she can't bring it down. Graf. Violation call. Gonzalez. Lee. Scoobers to Graf, but again, it just falls short.
That's a really tough throw to complete, especially as she was coming over. The wind's going to take it.
Mexico getting very excited, though. Sideline very involved, cheering a lot. Connerly to Wu. Goes to Wang, is able to hold on to that. Wu gets low. Wang. Connerly. Wang. To Hua, but over her head. And Flores with the huck, but the wind says no.
Brings it back to the middle of the end zone, so
game advisor does not want to try to throw that upwind, so likes to try to bounce it around the ground. Connerly has it now. Connerly to Wu. To Wang. Wang sends the huck, but Graf able to get that D.
Excellent run through D. Read that really well. Went right through those receivers.
China in person. Graf. Gonzalez.
Wide open. Not quite.
Again, too far for Lee. Wang picks up. Sends it over the top. Chan's able to make the grab. Wang to Connerly. Connerly just says she will throw it into the wind. She has some receivers. And that is just off the chest of Ying. Wu does a good job of stopping that pull from rolling even further into their own half. Graf fakes the hammer, goes to Gonzalez.
Floaty throw.
Around to Graf, but Wang is there. Wang looking, gets it to Connerly, but Connerly drops it, unfortunately. Lee. Graf. Flores. Graf. There's another disc on the field, but Wu kicks it away. And Graf goes with the hammer.
That was a slicing hammer. That was quite close.
Yeah.
Not sure who she was throwing to.
Well, it did look like a perfect hammer to Chen, who was able to get the D. Wang tries to gratis it, but I believe she was already out of bounds. So Mexico with 10 yards to work it into this downwind end zone and bring it to a universe point game.
Mexico has a great shot at winning this game. Need to be a bit more patient. Oh.
And again, Gonzalez's throw just hits the turf. Graf unable to get there. Connerly brings it up. Connerly stuck. Again, goes for the huck. She has a receiver. But Graf is there and gets the D.
I think both teams are having a lot of fun. Glad to bring the game to such an intense end.
And another D from China. So hopefully they can work it upwind. Connerly picks up. Connerly showing no fear when it comes to the disc. Gets it to Wang. Connerly. And she sends the huck again. She has receivers.
I like her upwind hucks.
Yeah, they haven't been too bad.
They got some nice distance.
Yeah, really forcing Mexico to work the full 70 now. Gonzalez sends a huck of her own. And Connerly's able to get a hand to it.
If Connerly didn't touch that, I think Mexico would have had that.
There was an equipment sort of check as Ying was tying her shoe. Now Wang has it. Wang decides to get on this hucking game as well. Chen bids for it, but again just hits the turf before she can make a play.
Is there still an equipment check call?
I believe you can extend a stoppage. Graf also believes that she should send a huck. It is too far for her receivers. Connerly bringing it back up. Try and move this cup around, get some space. Finds Wang. I think the handlers for China are getting a little frustrated. She goes around to Wu. There's still time.
Floating. Not
but Wu
quite.
cannot make the bid. That was a great effort. So Mexico at the doorstep. Graf picks up. I think there is a foul call. Coming in on 2. Graf fakes and gets it to Flores, and that is a hold for Mexico. So I believe we are going to have a universe point game.
China looking a little defeated, upset about their 5-1 lead, now coming to a universe point game.
Definitely. So what would you be if you were the Chinese coach, Lynn? What would the words of encouragement you would have to say to them?
They've been grinding out some really long points. You got to just keep doing what you're doing. Leave that point behind. It's a new point. Throws and catches. That's all you can do in this kind of windy situation.
Couldn't say it better than myself. So it looks like we have a very similar point that was just on for China. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the same for Mexico. We have players like Graf, Lee, Gonzalez, Flores, Rodriguez, Salazar, and I believe that is Diaz as well.
China will have a great opportunity coming downwind, starting on offense.
Short pull from Mexico, trying to stop that roll. It's just a few yards in front of the brick mark. Connerly picks up, still in zone. Ling, Wang, Ling, Connerly. Connerly sends the huck. Wu gets
Very
hands
close
on it, but unfortunately can't come down.
That was a great spot to send it over those two Mexican players.
Yeah, part of me wonders if Wu just waited for that, if she would have had a better play. Graf picks up. Graf sends the high backhand. She has 4 receivers, but Connerly gets there first. Chiang sends the huck again, but too far for Wu.
China has the advantage. If they were more patient with their throws, they could definitely work it in and put this game away.
Graf takes it to the line. Connerly is shouting. I'm not too sure for what. Trying to stop the roll. I think she's a little tired. Connerly looking. Chiang. Ling. Chiang. Gets it through to Wu. Low grab. Chiang. Breaking through that cup. Wang. I believe that there might be a travel call. Chiang immediately taps it back in though. Wang to Wu. Very close. Ling. Wang. Ling. Wang. She sends the flick. Again,
So
too
close.
far for Wu.
There was that great patience working it up. Little give and goes, keeping possession, and just couldn't find that open player.
Graf takes it to the line, and she again sends her flick huck. But Connerly gets the D.
Looks
Lee,
like it's
however, is
called.
calling a foul. I believe Connerly has contested the call, but they are still going to the game advisors for some maybe advice or possibly perspective. As you can see in the backfields, we have both the Colombian and the French teams getting warmed up, definitely starting later. It is actually uncontested, so Lee retains possession to Salazar. Salazar looking reset. Finds Lee, but Lee drops it. So China looking for one more chance to hold, to take this game. Connerly picking up. Chiang. Wang with the low grab. Chiang, it's over her head. Still over her head, and Lee grabs it. Wu on the mark to Graf. To Diaz. To Gonzalez. Back to Diaz.
The coach calling for
To Graf.
just a huck.
Diaz. Gonzalez trying to find the disc, but again sails over her head. Connerly faking that huck, but goes to Ling, who goes to Chiang. Ling, Chiang, to Wang, to Ling, to Wang. Nice around to Connerly. Wind has picked up Chiang. Connerly.
Not much downfield movement. So the handlers are really struggling to keep the disc moving.
Connerly with it. And that is just a drop from Chiang. I think she just took her eyes off that disc. So another upwind break for Mexico. Graf has picked up. And she sends the huck. Rodriguez grabs it.
Wide open.
Gets it to Graf. Graf looking for options. Finds Diaz. There is a pick, however. So disc likely to go back to Graf. I believe they're deciding on the stall count.
I'm so impressed with Mexico hucking upwind and connecting.
Gonzalez to Graf. Very close. Trying to just punch it in that last yard or so.
Graf looking really patient.
And that is it. And that is game. Gonzalez with the goal.
Mexico takes it.
They're very excited. Obviously, China a little disappointed in that performance. But what a great comeback from Mexico. You know, they were down 4 breaks, brought it back to on serve before half, and this is the first time they had the lead in the game, and it is the most important time to have the lead.
What a great fight by both teams. Great moments of brilliance, of patient handling, great grabs with this ridiculous wind.
So that concludes this women's matchup between Mexico and People's Republic of China. We hope you enjoyed it. We will be back quite soon. We'll get started on this men's matchup between France and Colombia as soon as we can. I'm Nico Birch.
And I'm Elena Zizana.
And we'll see you guys soon.